I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social Security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
Hello and welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. I am Ken Reed. As always, still your TV Guidance Counselor, and we made it to February, everybody. It's, what's today, February 2nd, something like that. 1 month down, 11 more to go, and a terrible year. I think January thus far was worse than all of 2025, but you're not here to hear about that. I hope your January was better than mine was, and than a lot of people's were. But this will make it better, this episode of TV Guidance Counselor. This is the show where each and every week, since February 14th, 2014, an interesting person has joined me to discuss television, pop culture, growing up, all of these things using a TV Guide magazine from my personal collection as the inspiration to our conversation. And this week it is James Greene Jr. James is a writer, really good dude, has written a bunch of books, very funny guy. He wrote a book about Ghostbusters, an uncensored history of Ghostbusters, a book called Brave Punk World about punk rock worldwide. And his newest book is called Magnum Opus. It is about the 15 years, however long it took, for Guns N' Roses to make Chinese democracy. And it's pretty fascinating. Even if you're not a Guns N' Roses fan, it is pretty fascinating. I am such a sucker for music stories, but also just really anyone creative story, like people struggling to create some art piece. And I'll watch pretty much a documentary on any band. And this was a great read. Like I said, I'm not the world's biggest Guns N' Roses fan, and I loved the book. So definitely pick up this book and pick up James's other books too. You can go to his blog, which is jg2two.com, James Greene Jr. jg2two.com, and there's links so you can get his books there and all of his stuff there. You should follow him on social media and all that stuff. Next week will be our 10th anniversary look back at 2016, which is interesting. I feel like, I guess every year people post like 10 years ago things on social media. I don't recall people doing that, and I've been seeing a lot of people posting like what things were like in 2016 recently. So this will be interesting. I'm going to do a year in review, 2016, 10 years in the rears. So pretty big year for me. A lot of cool stuff happened. I'm basically going to just go through the episodes, go through my calendar week by week. If you have questions about episodes that came out in 2016 or really anything that happened in 2016 that I was a part of, I mean, you can ask me about stuff that happened in 2016 that I wasn't a part of, but I don't know if I'm going to have that much input or thoughts on it. Actually, I do. I probably will have a lot, even if I don't know what it is. But anyway, you can email me at ken@icanread.com or tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com. Or if you're a patron, you can send me a message there at patreon.com/tvguidancecounselor. And if you have $5 or more a month, which I'm forever grateful, you would get a PDF of the TV guide we are looking at. And this week you would get the one that James and I did, so you could follow along with us. So anyway, get in touch if you want to, but obviously you don't have to. And even if you did have to, how would I enforce that? It has no teeth. But fun episode, so please enjoy. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, James Greene Jr.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live via satellite from Texas in Central Time. James, how are you?
I'm an hour in the past. I feel so out of date.
I'm not going to tell you what happens because it's a surprise. No spoilers.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, don't tell me anything that might affect my future.
That's
anyway.
Fine. It'll be like early edition. I was going to give you the numbers, but not now.
Okay.
So you're a fellow New Englander, technically, right? You grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah. Not technically. I mean, I was born and raised first 15 years of my life in Connecticut, but on the very literally the town I grew up in was on the New York Connecticut border. I knew people who had like their living room was in Connecticut and their kitchen was in New York. So it was very like it was interesting when I would visit further east in Connecticut or Boston or whatever. I didn't feel much connection to that. You know, it was much more New York centric. And, you know, I remember going somewhere. I think I went to Yale once just to visit it. And they had like, it was around, I guess it must have been around the time that Johnny Damon, I think, had like he had been traded or something or decided to leave the Red Sox, and they had all these posters up there like wanted for treason. I was like,
yeah, I feel like people probably would have killed him. That was when he was going full caveman Tarzan, I think. Like the long hair and the beard.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know anything about that, man.
And I don't know anything about sports, and even I knew that. I imagine he grew that long hair and beard so he could shave it off and cut his hair and not be recognized.
You know, I was a baseball fan growing up, and I would still occasionally watch while he was playing. And I do remember there was a game, you know, and they always have to find ways to kill time during baseball games because so little happens most of the time. They were showing like, which Johnny Damon do you prefer? And they would show his clean cut picture, and they would play that Third Eye Blind song. And then they would cut to his long hair and they would play Smells Like Teen Spirit. And they're like, call in and vote.
Was it Semi-Charmed Life?
Yes. Yeah. Or do you like evil grunge Johnny Damon? And like, they just kept doing this over and over, you know, so.
Because nothing was happening in the baseball.
Yeah. You know, but that's part of the fun is like is hearing how the announcers kill time, you know.
Which is funny because baseball, this is a total side note, but like it's one of those sports that became very popular on the radio first. More than other sports. Like football wasn't, I feel like those weren't as much, like baseball was a radio sport. So they seem to feel more than any other announcers that they constantly have to talk like it's still radio, even though it's like 95% a visual medium now.
Yeah, for sure. Even in the visual medium, sometimes you're just looking at a guy standing there, so they kind of have to be like, well,
he's wearing a size 9
Yeah,
shoe.
I remember there was one great Yankee game where the announcers, I don't remember, it was Al Leiter and somebody else, and they started arguing about whether or not they would, like, it was like Memorial Day weekend, and they're like, oh, what are you doing for the break? And it's like, oh, I'm going to go down to Cape May. And he's like, Cape May, you're not going to make it back in time for the game on Monday or whatever. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going this way. It's like, no, you're you're not going to make it, buddy. And they got into this huge argument about how to get, what the most efficient way to get to and from Cape May. Well, I think you're being too optimistic. You're going to get, the traffic is crazy in that stretch. Meanwhile, who knows what's going on with the baseball game? Like, you know,
strike. They just like go
it's
in.
like, oh, the whole stadium caught on fire. Everyone died. Nobody knows.
What a good gig. That's a good gig. You've also reminded me that there's a mall in New Hampshire that's on the Massachusetts border. I think it's the Pheasant Lane Mall. But half the mall is in Mass and half the mall is in New Hampshire. So half the stores have no sales tax, but the other stores do.
Oh my God.
Kind of amazing. Like,
yeah.
So you picked an issue here, September 21st to the 27th, 1991. Now, your new book is about Guns N' Roses, which I would be like, oh, 91, we're in prime Guns N' Roses time. We're talking, T2. But your book's about the Chinese democracy decades.
It's true, but the book does start, it does start like just before that week at the release of Use Your Illusion. And then the week that the TV Guide week I picked is the week that Nirvana's Nevermind came out. And so there was suddenly this huge, this crazy shift. And I thought it would be interesting to see. I didn't read every single word in that, but I was kind of scanning. I didn't catch any reference to Guns N' Roses or certainly not to Nirvana either. It has one of those, like get 9 CDs for a penny or whatever thing, but it was all like Richard Marx and Whitney Houston.
Oh yeah. That had not, we still had some hair metal stuff going in there.
Trickster, get Trickster.
Because I was curious if that's why you would pick this week. So, and so famously, this was the week, I think it was, what was the Tuesday? It would have been September 26th, I think maybe. that Nirvana played here in Boston, in Cambridge actually, at Man Ray, the night before that record came out. So also it's weird that I'm like, oh, this edition I scanned for you happens to be a Cambridge edition. So they were actually in Cambridge that night that record came out.
Wow, spooky.
But it's redesigning women is the cover. So this is when Delta Burke had left, and Annie Potts had left. So they replaced them with Jan Hooks and Julia Duffy, friend of the show, Julie Duffy. She's the best. Bonnie Hunt had famously turned down joining Designing Women at this point for, I think the payday was 40 or 50 grand an episode. And she chose to remain in Chicago as a cancer nurse because she did not like the scripts.
Understandable.
So they're really trying to relaunch this, and like poor Julia and Jan Hooks like had a uphill battle here, trying to get people to be nice to them, even though everybody shit on Delta Burke nonstop.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's crazy that this is my immediate go-to reference here, but it's kind of like when the original lineup of Kiss fell apart. It's like
that's how I think of Designing Women.
It's like everyone had their complaints about Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, but then you get some other guys and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? Like Eric Carr was a great drummer, but I think he was in an unfortunate position where they decided to start playing all this, like they were all this like, oh, we're going to do a concept record that's kind of more like Genesis, and then we're going to do a disco record. He kind of really didn't get to like, because it's funny seeing he had a really big drum kit, and what was he even playing on?
Lick It Up.
yeah, Lick It. Then you get to the 80s, they decide we're going to be a hair metal band, and it's like, as much as you want to, like, I mean, I don't think, I'm not like, in the Kiss army, but I think like, yeah, that original lineup, they made some cool stuff. And it's like, they certainly made their share of stupid stuff too. But to me, it's like, yeah, what do you do? And then Kiss spent the next however many years in the weeds. Like, what are we even doing? And so they were finally like, well, time to put the makeup back on.
Gene Simmons was like, my acting career didn't take off, even though he's great in Runaway. And he's great in Too Young to Die. The John Stamos movie. He's probably the highlight of that flick. But yeah, it's very rare in music or in TV or movies where they recast a main person that it really takes off. And weirdly, in the 80s, we had like 2 or 3 strong examples of that happening with like Cheers, it happened twice. Where the show got better. Barney Miller. So Designing Women was never quite as good. There's still some good stuff in those episodes. I love Designing Women. I think it's the show that should have the cult audience Golden Girls has now. For some reason doesn't.
I can see that. I mean, I would be hard pressed to name an episode of Designing Women or describe anything that ever happened on it, but I certainly watched it a lot when I was a kid, and I appreciated it. I mean, it made me chuckle, whatever was going on in it. So yeah, and certainly like revisiting Golden Girls is just sort of like, oh man, that's just like a thicket of problematic shit.
Oh yeah, I mean that's most sitcoms that you're gonna watch pre-millennium, but they're funny.
Yeah. But specifically, the way Golden Girls has been embraced, it feels by a lot of like, just all sorts of different people, like multicultural, and then like you watch it and it's just like, oh my god, this is like. It's like the 30s or something.
Yeah. It's very, you can never really anticipate what will click with people years in the future. And it's so also because the way I scan this, we have the front and back cover. We get 2 cigarette ads. The first one is for Marlboro Mediums, which are new low tar. And I'm not an ad man. I'll say that. I don't feel like this is an effective ad. It's literally just a close-up of a saddle horn.
Well, that was a lot of the imagery for that tobacco used. It was all like Western, like.
But it'd be like the tough guy, with like a cowboy, like a saddle horn. Like, what is that about?
Listen, when I even read old magazines and I just see cigarette ads, I'm like, this is ridiculous because it's been so long since they've been allowed to do that, so it's like seeing an advertisement for crack.
Or like when you look at those old ads and it's like, get this cocaine for your child's cough.
Yeah, exactly.
But then fascinating in this, there's a great article in here called TV and Soviet Upheavals, and it's covering the attempted ouster of Gorbachev. So this is before the wall fell, but like while there's all this sort of upheaval going on. And it's kind of fascinating to read that in TV. It's like a very well written article from like a TV lens.
Yeah, absolutely. Very surprising. I mean, I don't even know when I think of TV Guide, honestly, I just think of like the big, like the crazy, like black and white ads they would have for stuff. And like, I specifically remember when I was a kid, they were like, some channel was showing, The Great Muppet Caper. And it was like, the ad was like, it's a froggy night in London town. And I said to my mom, like, what does this mean? Like, what's this? She's like, it's a reference. You're too young. You'll never understand.
I can't explain this pun to you about weather.
So, to see something about, like, the political situation in Russia is like, oh, well, TV Guide.
Favorite Russian band?
My favorite Russian band.
I put you on the spot here. Sorry.
You sure did. Their name, this is awful. Their name escapes me, but it's like, the lead singer kind of looks like if Brendan Fraser was a werewolf.
Oh, I'm intrigued already.
I can't quite recall their name. It's been a while since, I honestly, I would say there aren't too many bands from Russia that
I can name
really,
like three.
really ignite my but I would have to go back and double check what their name was.
I would recommend Messer Chumps if you're not a fan already.
Oh yeah, that sounds
If in the sort of Krampsish sort of rock stuff, or the Leningrad Cowboys.
Jeez, it's been a while since.
So good in the movie Six String Samurai, who have their own movies as well. But I don't think I can name another Russian musical act.
Yeah, it's like, and I feel like the band that I'm talking about, they're I don't know that they have like a direct translation, or I don't know that they have their name, because that's what I learned. Like, the second book I did was all about punk bands in other countries and the history of punk in other places. And, very quickly I learned, like, there's no translation, or it's like they're referencing an idiom that we would never understand. Right,
or a play on words that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So,
what was the most surprising country when you were doing that research? Or like the one that you kind of underestimated, but you're like, wow, this is great.
I guess it was interesting. I guess I was surprised to learn about, I was surprised to learn about that there was punk rock in Nepal. But I mean, it basically just like, a handful of people doing it. But I mean, and I got to, I spoke to one of the prominent figures. I think her name is Serena Ray. I hope I didn't mispronounce that, but yeah, she was awesome and told me all about, what it was like, and, being in Nepal, and, we occasionally still keep in touch, very rarely, but yeah, I mean, that to me was very, you wouldn't have guessed it. I think also, I guess I was a little surprised reading about like how long they managed to keep like punk and stuff like that out of South Korea, and then suddenly there was like this big, suddenly it was like this kind of like this, like the floodgates opened at some point. But I think that's kind of why I wrote the book, is because I felt like a lot of people do underestimate a lot of other countries, and I felt like I kind of had an inkling, like, I know there's a lot of great stuff out there and a lot of far-flung places, So, and I get, it was also, to learn about the all girl heavy metal band in India, where the government's like, we're gonna arrest all of you, or we're gonna.
Or even like Pussy Riot. And speaking of Russia, like they have a band that was.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if you would. Pussy Riot feels maybe a little more like a. What was something larger than a band?
Yeah,
I don't know what
they've become like a movement instead of a band. Yeah, those countries where it's like literally dangerous to be in a band.
Yeah,
a
for
genre.
sure. Yeah.
So before we get into the listings here, they're kind of, so the fall preview was the week before this. This is kind of like, we gave you the fall preview. Here's all your returning shows and how they're changing or not coming up. This was interesting. So I totally forgot that. So on Married with Children, Katie Sagal was pregnant in real life, and they made the cardinal sin of writing it into the show, which they almost never do. There are always those shows where someone's always holding the beach ball or has like, because they don't want to do it. And then she lost the baby, and they just totally had to like pretend
it never happened. Yeah. That always makes me sad.
That whole season you watch it and you're like, oh, this is brutal. Like, man, I don't want to see this. But that's like where they lead off, and then they have Friday night. I always have to bring this up. Julia Duffy had, so Newhart had ended. Julia Duffy had done the show Baby Talk, which was a TV version of Look Who's Talking. Her co-star was George Clooney. For season 2, they recast her part with Mary Page Keller and replaced George Clooney, and this is the only time this will ever happen, replaced George Clooney with Scott Baio.
I was, for whatever reason, even though I was 12 years old, I was like really invested in all these changes they were making to Baby Talk. I thought it was fascinating to watch all of that and it kind of unfold. They're just like, they were like, as long as the baby talks, as long as we've got that, we can do anything else. We can change this whole thing around.
People won't even notice.
Yeah. So also in that article, there was like, they're like, on Murder, She Wrote, Jessica Fletcher is going to be spending some time in New York City. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Where does Murder, She Wrote take place again? Does that take place in Massachusetts?
I think so. Or maybe it's Maine. It's like a small coastal town.
Yeah. So it's like, all right. So she's going to
be an hour south.
Yeah. Good for her. She's taking a bus trip. I also saw that they were saying that Chad Lowe is being added to Life Goes On.
Yes.
And whenever I see Chad Lowe's name, that triggers this insane memory I have of a video we had to watch in health class when I was in like eighth grade or ninth grade. I don't know why. And it was like Chad Lowe takes his girlfriend Lori Loughlin out on a boat, and like he date rapes her, and it's like, I don't remember why they made us watch this in health class. I guess so we would know not to do that, even though I think we already knew not to do that. You say
Chad Lowe and Lori Loughlin, but you mean characters they were playing in the video?
Yes. I know this was not. Yeah, no, yeah, the characters they were playing, and I'm sure it was one of those CBS Playhouse things or something.
Yeah, after school special or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Which reminds me of another one they made us watch when I took drama class in high school, which was about like Christopher Walken is like this small town janitor or something who's like really shy and meek, but then he gets involved in the local theater and he's suddenly an actor and everyone's amazed.
I think anyone would stop whatever they're doing at any time and watch that. So you just pitch that to someone.
Yeah,
you're good at it. Christopher Walken's a janitor.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
And speaking of, so then the next little article in here is they're like 10 stars ready to soar this season. So they're like, these are people in new shows or doing new things this year. They're going to be huge stars. And it's really interesting to see kind of what they got right and what they got wrong. So like, unfortunately, the first one's Tim Allen. They're right there. Then there's an actress named Laura Sisk who I've never heard of before. She's on the soap Loving, and soap opera fans are like a whole different level of fandom where she might be the most famous soap person ever. And I have no idea.
I was just telling my wife that when I lived in Florida, I knew people who worked at MGM Studios, and they would occasionally have like soap opera day, and they were always like, "Those are the craziest fans. They're sick. They're out of control."
Yeah. Out of control.
But I thought it was funny that in this article about 10 rising stars, 10 stars to look out for, they chose Darkwing Duck.
Which wasn't a bad pick, although if I was a real person, I would probably be offended that they picked a cartoon instead of me.
And also Omni.
Omri Katz.
Omri
who
Katz.
Most people probably know from Hocus Pocus, but he was in Erie, Indiana this year. Good actor. Jenny Jones, whose talk show had just started. She was known as a stand-up. Bruce Greenwood. And then a guy named Wolf Larson.
That sounds familiar.
He's playing Tarzan in the new Tarzan syndicated series, and I'm like, yeah, no one cares about Wolf Larson. Cassandra Clayton, who I don't know, I think this again is a news anchor, and then William Ragsdale, who Fright Night fans would know.
The great William Ragsdale. We love. Also, he was in a great made-for-TV movie with Christopher Daniel Barnes called Frankenstein: The College Years. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I have, yes.
Yeah, that's like...
I think it was a Fox made-for-TV movie. It was a failed pilot, I believe.
Oh, well, it didn't fail in my book. It succeeded.
It failed as a pilot, but it succeeded as being just fine TV.
Winning my heart. Going back to Omri Katz for a second, I remember watching Hocus Pocus recently with my family, and I pulled up his Internet Movie Database page, and I don't know if this is still the case, but every single trivia thing is like his mentor was Larry Hagman. He learned a lot about acting from Larry Hagman.
Yeah,
Larry Hagman, and it's like, okay,
he was on Dallas. Yeah, he was on Dallas before.
Yeah.
And there's Brooke Thies who's on a new show, Good and Evil. This was right after Just the 10 of Us ended, and I have to mention her because I love Just the 10 of Us. It's nice to see Brooke Thies pop up. And then and I'm curious what they review in movie rentals, because sometimes you never know what it's going to be.
Yeah,
they're reviewing Sylvester Stallone in Snaps won an Oscar. Awful movie. He should not do comedy, really. Like, is there a good Sylvester Stallone comedy? Intentional comedy?
It's funny because, like, a couple of years ago, I watched Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and, like, I mean, I laughed at some parts. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't like it wasn't like painful. It was just like, this is kind of stupid. I think that's about it. That's really like, except for like there are, you would say in some of the Rocky movies, there are moments of humor. I guess he doesn't tell jokes, but he, like
in Tango and Cash, like Kurt Russell's doing all the funny stuff,
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger can do comedy. Stallone, not so much. Then they review 3 movies, right? It's Oscar, The Rescuers Down Under, and Bikini Summer. Bikini Summer is a kind of beach blanket bingo without the blanket of historical and scholarly interest for the appearance of one Shelley Michelle, who's cited as the body double for Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. I don't know if you recall how Shelley Michelle was all over TV for like 3 years, because she was also, the movie My Stepmother's an Alien?
Yes.
She was the leg in the poster. It was like, so she would be on like talk shows once a week would be like, we have the body double for Julia Roberts, whatever, Shelley Michelle. Still around, does autograph shows now. But what a weird mix of movies. And then just out of curiosity, so again, we're sort of setting the tone of when was Use Your Illusion came out in Nevermind. What are the top 10 rentals that week? We got LA Story, New Jack City, going from 10 to 1, King Ralph, Lionheart, Kindergarten Cop, Awakenings, Goodfellas, Home Alone, Misery, and Sleeping with the Enemy is number 1, which is probably the least well-remembered movie, I would argue, out of those 10 films.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, a pretty solid lineup.
Yeah, not a terrible lineup.
Could be a lot worse.
They also review Step by Step, and it's like a glowing review. Marvin Kittman reviews Step by Step as a new show. Step right up, folks. This one's a winner. And I'm like, I would not have guessed that this would be such a glowing review.
Yeah, when you got the charisma of Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers, and that's funny because I watched Step by Step, and I couldn't tell. I was at that age where I couldn't really tell if I was laughing with it or at it, which was the case for all of those shows.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I just didn't know. But it was funny because recently, I was on Facebook for something, and it gets, you get all these stupid suggested posts, like, they as much as technology can, like, forecast what we're interested in. Sometimes it's way, and there was something that was like the Bronson Pinchot fan group, and they're like, "Oh my God, do you remember when Bronson was a guest star on Step by Step and his hair was beautiful?" And if I was Suzanne Summers, I would have there's no way I could have resisted his charms.
You're not wrong.
But it's just like, and they're all doing this, like, they're writing their own fan fiction about this character.
That is a little weird. I've never gone so far to write fan. If you were going to write fan fiction, what would you write it for?
I don't know. For what you mean, for like which show?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, original lineup Kiss. You're just writing sequels to Phantom of the Park.
So yeah, what would it be like if Kiss visited Cheers? I don't know. They'd all get drunk or something. I don't know. Or maybe if Kiss went to Family Matters and Urkel trapped them in the Urkel machine and they became Urkel bots?
That is a whole subgenre that weirdly have not talked about a ton on the show, and I haven't even been fed, speaking of algorithms, like a YouTube video of this yet, but like musicians guest starring on sitcoms. There's some great, terrible episodes. I mean, I think mostly people remember when Tito Jackson, I think it was on Facts of Life, and Tootie made a sculpture for him. I was thinking Lionel Richie because of the Hello video, and his security thought it was a bomb, and they threw it in a bucket of water.
Tito Jackson's security.
Yep, that was a good one. Or Andy Gibb was on Give Me a Break, and then I remember El DeBarge on Punky Brewster.
Run DMC was on 227.
Yes.
I remember. And Barry Sobel was like a regular on the show at that time. And that's when he got to unleash his rapping Barry persona, or whatever you want to call it.
Barry was in Boston for a while, and so he would come do my weekly show. And so I stayed in touch with him, and I used to tape trade a lot. And I found a bunch of Friday night videos, and I sent a message. I was like, "Oh, hey, Barry, I got an episode of Friday Night Videos you're hosting." And he was super psyched. He's like, "Is it one with me and Jason Bateman?" And I was like, "No, it's you and Stoney Jackson." And he's like, "Oh, I'm good."
I had a very weird email exchange with him, Barry Sobel, back in the day. I wanted, like, it must have been like in the year 2001 or 2000. Like, I wanted to interview him for this website that I was doing. I was just like writing record reviews and interviewing goofy people. And I was like, "Hey, can I interview you?" And he's like, "Are you the guy I met at the tennis court last week?" He's like, do you? I was like, "No, I don't think so." He's like, "Do you want tickets to my show?" He was like filming a pilot for something, and it was like a game show or something. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Even though I live in Florida and you're in Cal, like, there's no way I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the specific premise of the pilot was, but I was like, "That's really convoluted. No one's gonna understand that. That's not gonna make any sense."
That exchange with him 100% checks out. Knowing him, that is not an unusual exchange with Barry. 100% tell you that is not an unusual exchange with him. So let's dive in here. Saturday night, what are you doing?
Okay, so Saturday night, I think it's like I'm probably flipping channels between the NBC lineup. Well, first of all, I'm definitely going to watch Empty Nest. Like, that half hour is blocked off.
That's your NBC Saturday night show, is Empty Nest?
I was an Empty Nest fan.
You're a Mulligan maniac.
Yeah, it hit all the notes for me. It did everything I needed a sitcom to do. It had a flustered old man and a big goofy dog, and Dinah Manoff, and occasionally the Golden Girls would show up.
Yeah, and Christy McNichol.
Yeah. And David Leisure. Yep. Can't forget him.
Were you familiar with the New Jersey punk band Blanks 77?
Yes.
The lead singer looks exactly like David Leisure.
Yeah, looks like. That's funny. I don't think I've ever seen photos of Blank 77. I've
just picture David Leisure singing every time you hear them.
Okay, will do. So I'm flipping between the NBC shows and probably MTV, which is showing they were showing the House of Style for a little bit that night, but then they had something listed as Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
And the description says actor Robert Englund on horror films. I was like, okay, I'll check that out. But then also there's a George Reeves Superman marathon on Nick at Night. So I'll probably be just going between all those.
Yeah, I think this was an anniversary of Superman of some sort, like a 50th anniversary or something. So they were doing marathons. House of Style, I watched religiously. I have this Back to School Fashions episode on tape. It's a real good one. I was a diehard House of Style guy. I got to meet Todd Oldham a couple times, and
nice.
It's like one of the few people that I've got starstruck by.
Wow, yeah. I loved when he would come on, and it was cool. It was cool because it was like probably one of the last eras where it's like people who were not like, I guess you would say, like media trained or like like camera ready or whatever. Like, you know, Todd would come on and it would be like he'd be speaking in that monotone and be like, I'm going to show you how to turn your garbage can into a throw pillow.
Yes, we went to the flea market and got this thing. Yeah, or it would be like a fun segment of like Cindy Crawford. I remember she went with Duran Duran vintage clothing shopping, or like she went shoe shopping with like Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
Really weird things. Loved House of Style.
And then, you know, I would assume that I would manage to stay up to see most of that episode of Saturday Night Live, which was hosted by Roseanne with musical guest D-Light.
Yes, this is the season premiere, I believe.
Is it? I don't, you know, my childhood was definitely like very seriously addled by Saturday Night Live. I don't quite remember that episode, but I'm sure.
Best sketch in this episode was a commercial parody for, and it was written by, oh my God, what was his name? He's the one who's in Billy Madison. He hosts
James Downey.
Yeah, James Downey. Where it's a parody of those like banking commercials where it's be like, I was on vacation, I lost my wallet, I called Citibank.
That's right.
And it's Roseanne. She goes, I told him, what do you want me to do? She was very responsive.
I do remember that now. Yeah,
it's very funny. There's two movies on there. There's I'm Gonna Get You Sucker is on, which you know I'll watch if it's on.
I mean, I'll watch it to see Eve Plum.
That's true. There's also a pilot on for, so speaking of Delta Burke, she had left Designing Women to star in this show called Love and Curses.
I saw the ad for that. I forgot what a stranglehold Gerald McCraney had on our lives.
Yeah, and so they were husband and wife. He was still on Major Dad, I think, at this time, or maybe it was right before Major Dad. And so they're like a husband and wife detectives. It's basically Heart to Heart.
Major Dad was definitely still on because in that article about changes coming to new shows, they said Pentagon cutbacks might affect the base on Major Dad.
Yeah, no.
I was like, oh.
That's when the world went to shit, when we stopped having
gripping
Major Dad.
Yeah.
But so those two things are on, and also Lightning Force with Wings Hauser, which was a TV series that Wings Hauser makes me laugh just his existence. And so I feel like I need to bring him up whenever he's on TV. And there's a thing called Rap Mania, which is a 2-hour celebration of the first decade of rap, featuring performances at New York's Apollo Theater and the Palace in Hollywood, including Ice-T, The Real Roxanne, Kool Moe Dee, Big Daddy Kane, and Grandmaster Flash.
Oh, wow. I bet that was cool.
There's an amazing... Morris Day put out a record a couple years ago called Grown Man. And on the single, Kool Moe Dee does the rap part in the middle, and he refers to himself as Dark Gable. And it makes me laugh every single time.
Kool Moe Dee is a good dude. He seems like a cool dude to me.
I love it. Here's our 8 for the price of 1. We got Van Halen, Yanni, AC/DC, Alan Jackson. Yeah, that's pretty much the state of music in 1991. London Beat, Keith Sweat, Nelson.
Oh man, ooh. I read that oral history of like the Sunset Strip, all the hair metal bands.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but a good time. And there's a lot of funny stuff about Nelson in there, about how like they went on tour and like, you know, they had they were like the girls trying to get at Nelson were just like insane. It was like it was like a horror movie. They would just like come out of nowhere screaming like, but their manager's like, so I went to, after the tour, I go to drop the one guy in Nelson off at his house and his wife comes out, their marriage is already not doing well. And like the first thing out of his mouth is, I cheated on you a bunch of times.
A bunch of times tonight?
Just like throughout the course of the tour, I guess.
Oh,
and it was just like, it's like, why did you say that immediately?
Yeah, he couldn't handle it. You just had to get it out there.
Their whole trajectory seemed insane.
And Tracy Nelson was on TV at this time. I think she was on Father Dowling Mysteries. So the Nelsons were all over the place. Speaking of music here, I will say there is some good stuff here. We got Depeche Mode Violator. 100% would have got that. Jesus Jones's record in 91. I still, to this day, if ever I have to think of something profound, Right Here, Right Now starts playing in my head. Because every MTV show, that was like how you end every episode of everything. And then Slave to the Grind, Skid Row. Pretty good record.
Yeah, back when that's when they had the magic.
Yeah,
the magic was in their
not
music.
as good as You've Gone Wild. But then there's some, speaking of hair metal, Bullet Boys. Ooh. and freaking Cinderella. Just some real garbage. Bullet Boys.
Yeah, I can't remember Cinderella is definitely in that book. Nothing But a Good Time. It gets a little confusing between Cinderella and White Lion and
because they were always like members were always switching to all these. It was like 8 bands that had all these guys kept moving around.
They all looked the same and they're all like doing basically the same thing. So
also, I think the worst song by Warrant is Down Boys, and that's saying a lot.
I mean, I would have to familiarize myself with the Warrant.
Where the Down Boys go. Oh. It's really bad. I'm like, what's a down boy?
To me, it doesn't matter if Warrant's music is the worst stuff on earth because of that one interview Jamie Lane did about how much he hated Cherry Pie. That was kind of famous on VH1, where he's just like, oh, the record was called Uncle Tom's Cabin. The record was done. So then they said, we need a hit. So I wrote Cherry Pie. Suddenly I'm the Cherry Pie guy. It's like, I want to blow my brains out.
I made him good money. I've had Bobby Brown on the show, the star of the Cherry Pie video, and his ex-wife. Sunday, what are you doing?
Sunday. So Sunday is also sort of like, I feel like I'm bouncing between NBC and Fox because it's like, I definitely am going to watch Erie, Indiana.
Yep,
I thought that was a good show.
I distinctly recall watching this as it premiered on this very night.
Oh, wow. I don't have such memories, but I definitely in living color. That Mark, I would watch that Mark and Brian show.
It's so bad.
Remember a damn thing about it, but probably just because I was killing time before Erie, Indiana.
So this was tough. So Erie, Indiana, I was so excited for because I was such a huge Joe Dante fan. And I was so excited that I watched it, even though there was a new episode of Parker Lewis on Fox at the same time. And I was a diehard Parker Lewis guy. And this Stacey Haddock is in this episode, who played Lois Lang in the Superboy show. This is a fun episode of Parker Lewis, but Erie, Indiana is just amazing. Like, I'm surprised they haven't tried to bring that back as a cartoon. They did do Erie, Indiana, The Other Side in 1997. They did a sequel series, but they've never tried to bring it back or do a movie. And it's probably because it's like just me that was a fan. But they had like Happy Meal toys. Like they promoted it.
I wouldn't say I think Erie, Indiana is pretty popular. I think Erie, Indiana is rather popular with lots of people. I feel like people bring it up a lot. Maybe one of those things where it's like, why mess with a good thing?
Yeah, let it live in the past. Let it live there and never come back. There's also where is it here? Erie, Indiana. Oh yeah, Living Colors season premiere. They're going full Homie the Clown. They're really pushing Homie the Clown in this one. But I would always go Funniest Home Videos and even watch Funniest People, even though it's terrible.
I had a jaw-dropping moment. I did not realize that America's Funniest People was co-hosted by Arlene Sorkin. Yes.
And then Tawny Katane replaced her after.
I remember that. I don't remember the blonde woman being Arlene Sorkin. And I don't know if that changes my opinion of that. That was another show where it was like, I couldn't tell, like, is this really making me laugh or is this stupid or what's happening here?
It was really just banking on the fact that they hoped people wouldn't notice America's Funniest Home Videos had ended.
Yeah, I don't. It was just sort of unbelievable.
You weren't a big Jackalope fan?
My friend, that was the Jackalope was like my friends and I would constantly like imitate it and stuff, but it was, we definitely would not be able to articulate the fact that like we're kind of like we're doing this ironically. It was just like
That's what everyone says.
Our culture can, like, in 1991 cannot exist beyond the television, and it's like, what. I don't know how to. I would call up one of my friends like every Friday to watch these TGI. I'd like be on the phone with him for all of these TGIF shows, and we'd be like, "This is so stupid." But then there'd be some parts where you'd actually laugh at stuff, and it's like what? This is our lives. Like, what are we doing?
Well, it's that weird. I think we're almost the same age. It's like that you're between like 10 to 14-ish, which is probably very different now. But at least for me, and I don't know if it's the case for you, you kind of went back and forth of like ironically watching, but also genuinely liking this show that's aimed at someone your age group. Like it would happen with like Saturday morning cartoons sometimes. It would happen with TGIF. You're like, this is stupid. I actually like this. Or like, you're watching like 15 on Nickelodeon laughing at it, but then getting into it kind of. It was a weird time. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, without distractions like the internet or like, we had video games, but they weren't like they are today. They weren't like,
just altering beasts. That's about it.
Yeah.
Has this beast been altered?
Yeah, I can't. Oh, you want to meet at 8? I can't. I have to alter some beasts.
Yeah.
That's
which weirded me because the beasts were after the guy was altered. Because he started as a man, and then unless the man was the beast, maybe it was profound.
It's best not to think about these things.
The dragon was the best one he turned into. Also, there's a made-for-TV movie starring Martin Sheen. This is when Martin Sheen was no longer bankable in any way in theaters and had not had a hit TV show. This is pre-West Wing. And so based on a true story, it's Guilty Until Proven Innocent. A teenage boy is sent to prison for murder. Only his father believes he's innocent. Only his father can save him. This does not sound remotely good in any way.
The premise, even if it is good, the premise it sounds depressing. I don't want to watch a show about a kid going to jail.
His son, who commits the murder, you know who he's played by?
No.
Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser.
Oh, wow. Well,
the story begins in December of 1979 when a 20-year-old high school dropout named Bobby McLaughlin, played by Brendan Fraser, is arrested for a shotgun slaying in an area of Brooklyn notorious for drug deals. Despite his claims of innocence and his assurances of a confident public defender, Bobby is nonetheless convicted by the questionable testimony of a 15-year-old witness. Then, determined to right the wrong, Bobby's foster father seeks new evidence to reopen the case. Bobby languishes in Sing Sing as the years pass and pass.
This should be like a human interest story in the New York Times.
Should not be a 2-hour movie, though. Poor Brendan Fraser. Then there's a made-for-TV movie about Marilyn Monroe, based on the Bob Salazar book, Marilyn and Me, the last untold chapter in the incredible story of Marilyn Monroe. Nope. In another made-for-TV movie, Sunday night's made-for-TV movie night, this stars Donna Mills, and it says, when he deserted them 17 years ago, she wanted him back. Then she wanted revenge. Now she wants justice. In the film, Runaway Father.
Again, just like a glaze comes over. I can't even hear any of that.
This is also a CBS Sunday movie and a, quote, read more about it book project selection.
Oh, God.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'll stick with Cat in the Hat.
I don't need to read more about it. I'm seeing who's playing the kids in this movie, if it was anyone. Oh, Jenny Lewis.
Oh.
Jenny Lewis is the main kid in it. So, she recently turned 50, married her dog, famously. If you want to talk to her about her acting career, mention Runaway Father. The Mills.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I have so many questions about The Wizard.
Oh, we all do.
Ask.
I think even people in it have questions about The Wizard. I remember seeing that in the theater as a kid and distinctly going, this is just a big commercial for Vision Streetwear and Nintendo.
Yeah, it was a little thin, but we sure were excited about Super Mario Brothers 3.
That movie just set me up for disappointment in life, knowing that there would never be a video game tournament like that in real life.
Well, not until you make one.
Well,
Like,
someday.
that's up to you.
Someday. There's also the new Candid Camera that Dom DeLuise hosted. That's on Sunday night. So Monday, what are you doing?
Okay, so Monday, I feel like it's Mondays. I can't commit to one channel. I'm bouncing between NBC and CBS. I'm gonna, it's gonna be The Fresh Prince and Blossom. By the way, in that article about the changes coming on all the shows, they mentioned Blossom was adding Blossom's jazz musician grandfather.
Yes.
A character I don't remember at all from Blossom, and I feel like my knowledge of Blossom is above average.
It's Barnard Hughes. Speaking of Lost Boys, I didn't even mention Lost Boys, but of Lost Boys fame. Yeah, they really tried to retool it with him, and I mean he's good in everything, but he couldn't combat Joey Lawrence. The show became the Joey Lawrence show, and that he was everything that show wasn't.
Well, it's too bad. So. And then it's, CBS is like, I'll watch Murphy Brown. I don't know why. I don't know why I was watching Murphy Brown. Because I thought Grant Shaw was funny, and my parents impressed upon me that Candice Bergen was a huge star. So I would watch Murphy Brown, and then Designing Women, like I was saying earlier, like. Don't remember much about it, but I would definitely watch it. But the big events, then Northern Exposure to me was like, oh yeah, that's a great show.
Still is. Holds up. I don't know if you've revisited, but it's such a good show.
I haven't. I think I'm due. I got this. What's funny is I got the soundtrack to Northern Exposure a few years back. And I was like, it's funny because it never even dawned on me that this was part of the joke. Is that like. The theme to Northern Exposure is like a Zydeco song, and like the whole soundtrack is all Zydeco, and I'm like, wait a minute. So where can we get some? I don't even know what I mean when I say, can we get some Alaskan music on this thing? I don't even know what that would be. Yeah, Jewel. Yeah, what am I even talking about? But that was very, very interesting. And the last time I know Rob Morrow was on that show Numbers, and I know obviously he does stuff. The last time I really took note of his appearance and anything, it's like I was working as a substitute teacher. This was years ago, and I had to show this physics class a video on string theory, and it was all about the guy who created string theory, or the guy who developed it, or whatever you want to say. I discovered it, invented it. So he's like, it's a huge, he does this and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe string theory. This is amazing. So they're throwing a party for this guy, like at the Guggenheim, and he's there. And lo and behold, who walks up to him but Rob Morrow? And Rob Morrow's like, hey, this string theory stuff, man, it's so good. Like, I want to make a movie out of this. And as I'm watching this, like, I start like busting a gut laughing because it was the last person I expected to see. I'm just like dying, and the students in the class are like, "Why are you laughing so hard?" I was like, "You don't understand. This guy, he was on this show. Okay, he's like a doctor from New York, and he's in Alaska, and he loves this woman who's a pilot, but she's like, I don't want, it's a whole thing, and he's like, I can't even explain,
It's a very random person. Like Anthony Edwards would have made more sense somehow. I don't know why. I always like to tell people that Jack Kirby invented string theory. And, I think there's an argument to be made there. There's a Dolly Parton made for TV movie here that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a very very commanding photo of Miss Parton.
Full page ad. Her boobs are hanging out. She's in like a nightie. And it says Dolly Parton in Wild Texas Wind. And then there's a photo where I think she has a black eye.
Oh, God.
And it says an unforgettable story. The truth about the pain behind the fame. Also starring Gary Busey and Willie Nelson with original music by Dolly Parton. I've never heard of this in my life. And is this like an autobiographical thing? This is Dolly Parton plays a rising country singer trying to stand by her man, of course, played by Gary Busey, the manager and lover who batters her. Parton co-wrote the original songs with co-star Ray Benson, the leader of Asleep at the Wheel, who plays Ben Harlan. Dennis Letts, Merle Connolly, Willie Nelson joins Dolly for On the Road Again. Parton also co-wrote the story and co-produced the film. Did not stand the test of time, this film. A
lost. This must be lost media.
It's such a weird thing because it's like, I'm sexy, I have a black eye. Like, that's the thing. It's like this giant, here are my Hooters, here's my black eye in this one picture on Wild Texas Wind.
Well, hats off to you, Dolly. I hope you had fun.
How insane is Gary Busey in that? And then, of course, the Sally Struthers, do you want to make more money? Sure, we all do ad. It's like you can train at home in your spare time. I always love these because I like to see what the jobs are. So some of my favorites here are obviously TV VCR repair is always a fun one, as is gun repair. Private security officer, travel agent, computer assisted book agent. The one that just says art, motorcycle repair, surveying and mapping. That's a good one. Microcomputer repair.
Microcomputers.
49 ways to help you qualify for the job you really want. I wonder if anyone did those ICS like learn from home things and then like got those jobs, because they never used to have testimonials.
No, I mean, I feel like that's got to be a huge scam. I feel like there's no way that's legit at all.
Do you want to make more money? Sure, we all do.
No, I'm good. I have enough money.
I'm good.
Next question.
Tuesday, what are you doing?
Tuesday, in my notes, what I wrote down was slim pickings, because there wasn't a lot that lit my ass on fire.
How dare you? We have Gene Lockhart guest starring on Full House. There's a Perry Mason episode guest starring Scott Baio and Valerie Harper.
You know, honestly, the thing that caught my interest the most was that MathNet special.
Oh, yeah. Like, MathNet ruled.
Yeah. So I was like, I'd probably watch the MathNet special.
The case of the Calpurnian Kugel caper.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you're doing, MathNet, I'll check it out. I feel like I would, by this point in the week, I would have had my fill of, it's like, I don't know, Full House on a Tuesday. That's crazy, guys.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And I guess that was the night. Is this the night that Home Improvement premiered?
It was. At 8:30. They put it on after Full House to kind of get the same audience, which worked. And then moved Full House back to Fridays. I was a diehard Rescue 911 fan. And I love the ad here because it's like a half-page ad, and it's just stark black with titles, and it says, "Her little boy in a hot air balloon, pilotless, disappearing into the distance." Sold.
I recently found a pretty funny interview with William Shatner from around that time where they're like, he's promoting Rescue 911, and he said, they asked him, like, have you ever had to call 911 yourself? He said, yeah, I was driving down the highway one time and I saw this lady, like her car had flipped over. So I called 911 and they're like, oh my God, are you William Shatner? And I said, yes, but that doesn't matter right now. And so then they're like, well, do you know what happened to that lady? He's like, no, I called 911. And so I was securing that and I drove off.
Yeah, someday we'll cover it on the show.
Yeah, way to half-ass it.
Oh yeah, he's William Shatner. He goes, I didn't even have to do that.
You know, recently I read, they put out a couple of really great oral histories of the whole Star Trek franchise, and I read the like second one recently, and it talks about that episode of Futurama they did, where they had all the Star Trek people on, and they're like, it was really hard to convince William Shatner to do it. We had to get Matt Groening on a conference call with him. William Shatner did not know who Matt Groening was and did not care. Of
course not.
He's like, listen, Poindexter, you're not going to pay me enough to do this dumb shit that you wrote. He's just, and the person telling the story is like, I had to sit there and watch Matt Groening like not lose his mind because they need Shatner on the show, but he's like insulting him to such a degree.
Which is almost worth, like, I mean, obviously I'm not Matt Groening, but to me, I'd be like, this is almost worth it just to have this story of Shatner being like, I don't know who you are. Look, I'm busy doing tech war. Oh, boy. Then my other favorite story in that Rescue 911, a man who had a heart attack during a Civil War reenactment.
Jesus.
Oh, hilarious. And there's a made-for-TV movie that night. It's called Murder in New Hampshire, the Pamela Smart story.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that huge story. It says he was, quote-unquote, teacher's pet. He'd do anything she wanted, even murder her husband. And starring as Pamela Smart is Helen Hunt. And as the young man she's corrupted, Chad Allen.
Incredible.
She's still in jail, I think. Every couple of years she asks for, like, parole, and they don't give it to her.
Yeah.
She's been in jail for, like, 30 years. So where are we? That's Tuesday. How about Wednesday? Better pickings?
Yeah, slightly better pickings. You know, what am I don't even know what I wrote here. So definitely watching dinosaurs. Like,
Best show.
I gotta watch the big crazy puppet show. You know, my stepson is like, you know, he loves animals. He's 20 now. He's always loved animals, and he was like, especially dinosaurs. He'll read anything he can get his hand. And we were telling him about, they made this sitcom about dinosaurs. He's like, oh, let's check it out. And he didn't realize it was like, you know,
Was it
so
really?
he watches the opening, right? And it shows that little creature and it's the woods, and he's kind of interested. Then like Earl Sinclair is like, honey, I'm home. And my stepson's face, his jaw just like dropped, and he's like, shut this off.
I want a
Shut this
realistic
off.
depiction of
He's
dinosaurs.
like, yeah, turn this off immediately. Dinosaurs, you know, maybe I'll watch Growing Pains, and then again, I gotta flip over to NBC. I feel like the only lock on NBC is Quantum Leap. It's like I'm bouncing between. I mean, I'll watch Unsolved Mysteries, but I think at that age, it still kind of scared me a little.
Yeah, it scares me to this day, to be honest with you.
Night Court and Seinfeld at that time. I mean, I thought Night Court was kind of funny. I mean, Quantum Leap was the only thing where it's like, yeah, I got to see that for sure. But I did notice now, an ad I think I noticed in the Wednesday section. Oh yeah, certainly. So this almost upset me. It's an ad for Doogie Howser, and it's like Neil Patrick Harris is like shirtless with his girlfriend, and it's like Doogie's losing his virginity.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't need to see this 12-year-old naked losing his virginity.
It's worded even better than that. It says, tonight, Doogie and Wanda say goodbye to each other and to virginity. Yeah, he's looking down at her. She's fully clothed. He's shirtless. Yeah, I hated that show so much. Hated it with every ounce of my being. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly watched it. I don't think I had any, you know, it was one of those things I didn't even think about it. When you're that age, you know, I think when you're that age, you don't even think about how stupid or silly certain things are. Like, oh yeah, the kid's a doctor. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Of course.
His friend can't come through the front door. He's always got to climb through the window.
Yeah, makes sense. There was a common thing. A lot of people in TV had friends who climbed through windows.
That's true. Didn't Clarissa explains it all? Her friend did that too.
The Unsolved Mysteries this night is it's new theories in the death of Lincoln assassin John Wilkes Booth. Really cutting edge stuff there.
Well, you know, there's a lot of questions. Did Boston Corbett shoot him, or did he die? Did he actually die in the fire? Very controversial, I think, to this day about what happened to John Wilkes Booth.
Always forget that Jessica Walter did one of the voices on Dinosaurs.
Well, she had quite a career.
She did. She was in the Doctor Strange TV movie. They're also premiering a show that looks like a joke called Teach.
I saw that, yeah.
B.B. King plays Teach's Uncle Isaac, who urges Teach, Phil Lewis, to compromise in a battle against Lilton and a traditional Winthrop form of punishment. So this, I guess, is like a cool black dude teaches at like a snooty like prep school, seems to be the premise here.
Yeah. I wasn't following it really.
It's one of the few shows that starred one of my favorite named actors who was in the Brady Bunch movie and was on MTV's first original scripted show, Dead at 21.
Jack Noseworthy?
Jack Noseworthy, that's right. His co-star in Dead at 21, also great name, Whip Hubley.
I remember very recently, my wife Amy is she's also like a total TV and movie fanatic, but she wasn't super familiar with Dead at 21, and I remember being like, "You remember Dead at 21 with Jack Noseworthy?" She's like, "Everything you're saying now is nonsense. I don't know what you're saying to me."
I think we could list Jack Noseworthy's entire filmography, like from memory.
You know what it was is we were watching the 90s version of The Outer Limits, and he was on an episode, and I was like, "Oh, Jack Noseworthy, I'm Dead at 21." And my wife's like, "What?" I was like, "Dead at 21."
It's like, what could be in my brain instead of that? That would be helpful in some capacity. Also, they're premiering the show Good and Evil, which is the show Brooke Thies is on. And this was like the creators of Soap and Golden Girls created this show, and it got a huge push. It was about a good sister and an evil sister. One of them was Terry Garr. Margaret Whitten was the other sister. And so they were like, we got Terry Garr, we got these big names. Show was like 7 episodes.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
Wasn't clicking. Thursday, what are you doing?
Well, Thursday, definitely The Simpsons. There's that's a lock. Simpsons, Different World, Cheers, Wings. Not much else to say other than, recently my stepson and I were watching I guess the whole family was watching the Superman animated series where Tim Daly does Superman's voice.
Best Superman thing ever, in my opinion.
Well, I thought Tim Daly played Superman a little too grumpy. And, we moved on. We were watching the Justice League cartoons where they have George Newborn doing it. And it sounds like he's doing an impression of Tim Daly if Tim Daly was nice.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a little bit better. But, I dug Wings.
Wings is great. Wings is funny. I think it was in the shadow of Cheers all the time. But it's a solid show that was like really funny the whole time. And again, I will say David Schreck's character is one of the most sleazy, amazing, weird characters on TV with Roy Biggins.
Roy Biggins, the greatest.
Such a jerk. Pretty irredeemable. Like, not even like the guy you love.
But also like a great, could have been like ported from like a 1940s movie.
Oh, easily.
Like,
yeah.
So such a classic archetype.
I was watching a Spencer for Hire episode, and Kevin Conroy's in it actually, because they would hire a lot of New York actors. There's an episode where Kevin Conroy plays an arsonist. But there's the episode after that has David Schreck in it as looking like Roy Biggins, and I believe he's playing a child molester.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, yeah, that's a poor guy.
Jesus.
So you passed up Drexel's Class, everyone's favorite Dabney Coleman show. You passed up the new premiere show called Pros and Cons, the Two Detectives show starring Richard Crenna and James Earl Jones.
Yeah, I sure did.
Not a long-running show. People were not super into that show. And also the show, I forgot about Reasonable Doubts, which was Marlee Matlin and Mark Harmon.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that because my mother is a huge Mark Harmon fan. She's like Mark Harmon's the greatest of all time. My mother likes to talk about the events of NCIS like they're happening in real life. And she'll call me and be like, listen, you won't believe what the Nunzio did this week. This, that, and the other thing. And she's like, tell me everything about, I was like, no, it's great. That's great. Yeah, but she's like, oh, Mark Harmon.
Summer School, great movie.
Yeah. Sure.
He married Pam Dover of Mork and Mindy fame, who then she quit acting. There's a story around this time, they live in Malibu, I think, and someone had a car accident near their house, and the car burst into flames, and Mark Harmon ran over there with a sledgehammer and bashed his way in and pulled the lady out of the car.
Jesus.
Mark Harmon, save me. Funniest name to say with a Boston accent. It really is. It's perfect. Mark Harmon. Actually, Marlee Matlin is a pretty good one to say with a Boston accent as well. I've almost had Marlee on the show before. I've talked to her a few times about doing it. She's a sweetheart.
We saw Marlee Matlin in another episode of the 90s Outer Limits. she was like communicating with aliens or something, and like I want to say David Ogden Stiers was like, "Hey,
right.
stop talking to aliens."
The pilot of New Outer Limits, The Sand Kings, is fantastic.
I disagree with you. I don't think
You don't
Sand
like
King
it?
is good. No, I think I can't. They were dressing Beau Bridges like he was in Collective Soul, and it made me want to shoot myself.
True. He was having let his light shine down.
It was not. In fact, that whole first season, my wife and I were like, I don't know if we're gonna make it through this. Like, these all seem like pilots for like terrible CBS dramas.
That's true. Is that the season with the Robert Patrick one where he thinks they're turning the girl in his cell into an alien, but they're really turning her back into an alien?
No, that's later. That's like in the good part.
That's a good one.
And they made a sequel to it with Will Wheaton. I think. Oh wait, maybe. No. I'm misremembering. It's weird because they do tie a lot of episodes together.
Oh wow.
So it's like they definitely did a sequel to that one where the girl is an alien and she's being turned back. I'm kind of at a loss for. I feel like it was the one with Will Wheaton, and they trick Will Wheaton at the end into blowing up the Earth.
Oh, so it's like Ender's Game.
Yeah. So, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Would you recommend that I go back and rewatch The Outer Limits, but skip the first season?
I would say watch it because it's funny to think, like, how did they make this thing last for 9 seasons? How did they get past this season? And then eventually it gets so outlandish, like the episode where not Freddie Prinze Jr., what am I saying? Ralph Macchio plays a doctor who's figured out a way to find. He has found the dream realm where coma patients go to, and you know how he does it. You know how he accesses this dream world? By injecting fentanyl.
Oh, interesting.
And his science partner / romantic partner is like, you got to stop doing all that fentanyl and going to the dream world.
Do you think that's what caused the whole problem to begin with?
Yeah,
you could tie
absolutely.
it back to Macchio. Wow.
Yeah, this Outer Limits episode no one ever saw.
Man. Yeah, where are we? Thursday, it's Reasonable Doubts. I just noticed that Joan Rivers show. It says Joan Rivers, scheduled topic, transsexualism.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus Christ, Joan Rivers. Oh, the talk shows. Finally, Friday, final night of the week.
Well, TGIF had like its foot on my neck for years, so it's Family Matters, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, Baby Talk. And of course, this was the week that Steve Urkel, got on his rocket ship and crash landed in Step by Step. And I believe he taught one of the girls in Step by Step how to do the Urkel dance.
Oh, you want to do the Steve Urkel dance? All you got to do is hitch up your pants.
Exactly. I recently read Jaleel White's memoir, and it was like, it was very interesting. I think there's definitely some stories in there where he's like being a huge jerk and he doesn't realize it, and he's trying to make you think like I was being awesome.
Oh yeah, nothing's better than someone telling you a story that they think makes them look good that actually makes them look like the biggest asshole on earth.
But the best story by far is that he tells this story where he's like, one day I was just out having lunch with the songwriter Diane Warren. And Diane Warren brought her pet bird to this restaurant. I don't know if it was a parakeet or a pigeon or whatever. And the bird is just doing its thing. And suddenly Russell Simmons comes over and is like, hey, could you get that bird out of here? We're trying to eat. And she's like, no. And then so then Russell Simmons goes to like the manager and he's like, you can't have a bird in this restaurant. Like, that's crazy. I'm trying to eat. And the manager's like, all of Miss Warren's pets are welcome in this restaurant.
That's the kind of fame you want.
Yeah. And it was just, but Jaleel White does not explain if he like knows her or if he was meeting her to work on something. He's just
Right.
like, I was having lunch with Diane Warren.
He's working on his big album he's going to come out with.
Yeah. And of course, there was a funny story about how, like, years before when he was very young, he was meeting with Bill Cosby to like relaunch some sort of Fat Albert thing, like a Fat Albert character he wanted to revive. Then years later, after Jalil's star had dulled a little bit, and Bill Cosby's doing the Fat Albert movie with Kenan Thompson, he's like, oh, there's got to be a part for me in this. And so Jaleel White says he calls Bill Cosby and starts saying like, hey, I don't know if you remember, we were going to do this thing and I saw you doing this movie. And Cosby cuts him off and is like, we're not doing what you think. We're not going to do some like fat suit thing if that's what you're thinking. So there's no, and he's like, no. I don't mean to play like whatever you want. He's like, we're not doing what you think that's not what it's going to be. And he just like hung up.
People keep calling me about the goddamn fat suit.
Yeah, but then I think Kenan Thompson did end up wearing a fat suit.
Because he's like, look, we'll get a real fat kid, all right?
But it was funny because he was like, that was my first inkling. That's like, oh man, maybe Bill Cosby was like not really my friend and not a nice person.
What a way to find out. I always like to see, like, TGIF was a monster. Like, it killed for years and years. So I always like to see what other channels counter-programmed with it, because no one ever really found anything that could get that audience. And on CBS, they have a show called Princesses. It says, they're witty, they're pretty, they're available. Princesses, season premiere starring Twiggy Lawson, Fran Drescher, and Julie Haggerty.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't even recognize Julie Haggerty. That was crazy.
That's a good cast, but that show sounds terrible. It sounds really bad. Three single women, Tracy, Melissa, and Georgie, whose tale begins in the opener when they agree to share a New York penthouse. Ooh. High concept. Brooklyn Bridge is also on.
Oh, yeah, I would watch Brooklyn Bridge.
I've seen an episode or two and loved it, but that was one of those shows like I'll Fly Away, Brooklyn Bridge, Frank's Place was like, please save our show. It's such a quality show. Save the show. And I'm like, it's fine. Urkel crash lands on Step by Step and on all my TGIF. Here's what I think TGIF really did well that no one else picked up on, and it was having cast members from the shows on TGIF host the evening. So, like, having it branded that way, where they'd be, like, usually in character, which was always weird, be like, hey, I'm Steve Urkel, I'm watching Step by Step, or whatever weird thing. But for some reason, that made it seem more like an event, and NBC also used to do that on Saturday mornings. They would have, like, the Cast of Facts of Life host or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
But that was such a good idea, and I don't know why more people didn't do it.
There's probably eats into ad time now.
I guess, they probably don't have ironclad contracts where they can make those people do that.
Yeah. You are owned by the studio, Mark Lynn Baker.
That's right.
You will be Cousin Larry when we say it.
Cousin Larry will talk about how much he loves Step by Step. There's also a made-for-TV movie called Stranger at My Door, which says, she didn't know who he was, when he came, where he came from, why he was there. She only knew he alone could save her life. Starring Marky Post and Robert Urich. They flipped it on you there.
Geez.
You thought he was going to kill her, but he's the one who could save her life.
Robert Urich could never kill anyone.
No, absolutely not. He's a song and dance man. Even though in Spencer for Hire, Robert Urich kills about 45 guys every episode, and having grown up in Boston and known a lot of scumbags, we do not have enough scumbags for him to kill 45 of them every week and to still have enough scumbags to have episodes of Spencer for Hire. It's not enough.
It's like on Star Trek Voyager when they were like trapped in that galaxy for years and you kept meeting new crew people. It's like, how many people are on this freaking ship?
How big is this friggin' thing? Nick Stahl is in that movie, as is Michael Beck. Interesting. Robert Urich. So that is the week, but as you know, TV Guide does not just it's not just informative, it has opinions and it cheers and it jeers. So James, to finish off this week, I'd like to read you the cheers and jeers of this week in 1991, see if you agree or disagree with these. What was the first video from User Illusion that premiered? Because they had those huge premieres. Was it?
I think it was Don't Cry. I would have to double check. I feel like that was.
That's the one with the where he's with the wedding. Is that one?
That's November Rain.
Okay.
November Rain is. Don't Cry is sort of like Not a lot happened. Like, I think Don't Cry, like, like Axel's walking through the snow. You see the eye of the baby.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
they kind of all, November Rain is definitely the one with the wedding, though, because it's like, I remember Slash walks out of the thing. He walks out of the church. Suddenly he's like larger than the church and does the guitar solo. And Estranged is the one with the dolphins, because by that point, Axel had broken up, or him and Stephanie Seymour had parted ways. So he's like, just put dolphins in the video.
It's either dolphins or Stephanie Seymour. There is a punk band I'm very friendly with and familiar with who will go unnamed, who are from Charlestown, Mass. And one of the guys who co-sang was either kicked out or quit the band. I forget exactly what happened. But for years, he threatened to put out his own record with a new band. And everyone always referred to it as Charlestown Democracy. And it never came out, obviously. And that is still one of the funniest things I've ever heard, and such a niche joke. Yeah. Only 2 cheers. That's it. This whole week, it's 2 cheers. No jeers at all. This is super unusual. So we have 2 cheers. Cheers to radio. Video images of the coup and people's uprising that followed. It electrified the world, but it was TV's still feisty predecessor that helped to turn the entire nation against the plotters who tried to topple Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. With the reactionaries in control in the Kremlin, millions of shortwave radios suddenly crackled as never before, as tens of millions listened in for BBC, Voice of America, and Radio Liberty reports on how Russian President Boris Yeltsin was calling for resistance to the coup. Even Gorbachev, under arrest in the Crimea, found a way to listen to the BBC. This sounds, I don't remember this being this dramatic, but this sounds kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of remember. I remember like I was taking German classes in school, and like as all this stuff was going down, our teacher was like, "This guys, you don't even understand." It's like, put down your Vanilla Ice tapes and like listen. This is important shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Cheers.
That's what we had the rise of Putin in that era. He was like a desk jockey for the FSB at that point. Somehow managed to weasel his way in. Then we have a cheers to ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN for the fine work each did getting the story into our living rooms. Working under tremendous pressure, each one had its scoops, and then it goes through its scoops. So this was such a momentous event. And this may not convey to you, but to my listeners, they should sit down to realize that this was such a huge world event that it completely overtook Cheers and Jeers this week.
Yeah,
that never happened. That's an insane thing. So yeah, the only 2, and they're both cheers about like good job covering the Russian coup.
Well, I mean, they obviously couldn't agree whether Urkel should get a cheer or a jeer for invading Step by Step.
No. I would have liked to have seen a Russian episode with Urkel where he goes to Russia. It has like a Russian counterpart, like on Head of the Class.
Didn't Head of the Class went to Russia.
Yeah, they were the first U.S. show to shoot in Russia, and the first U.S. person to ever film a special in Russia. Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, where he like lost his mind because something was going on in the audience and he kicked his keyboard over.
Yeah, he's a volatile man. So the current book's about Chinese democracy. What's the next one? You working on the next one yet?
I haven't decided yet. Still figuring it out.
Okay,
but
all right. I think you found.
You'll be the first to know, Ken.
You found 10 or 15 inspirations in this episode, in this issue of TV Guide alone. You can go down to explore further. The thing here, I think Jaleel White's music career that never happened with Diane Warren is probably a big one. I also like that there's more than one pet, so I'm wondering what else there was other than that bird.
Oh yeah, I mean, I might be misremembering exactly what he said, but certainly Diane Warren and her animals are allowed here, or whatever, or the bird is allowed here. I don't know.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I've wanted to have you on for a while, and I'm glad that we got a chance to sit down and chat.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. It was great. A lot of fun.
There you go. That's James. Go to jg2two.com is his blog, and you can follow him on all the social medias. Buy his new book, Magnum Opus. It is very good wherever books are sold. And his other books are great too. So, pick up everything he's written. Just do it right now. go online, pick up everything he's written. I haven't written a book, but if you'd like to pick up things I've written, I have an album, I guess. I don't know. That's weird. Some people have asked, actually. So I was in a punk rock band in the 90s, and in March, Dropkick Murphys do like a St. Patrick's Day sort of week residency in here in Boston. WEEK, not WEAK. Speaking of music. And all the bands from 1996, not all the bands, but a bunch of the bands that my band started with, and we used to play Dropkicks a lot, have reunited or are playing opening those shows. So like the Unseen, Showcase Showdown, Trip from the Unseen's been on this show. The Ducky Boys, Vigilantes, but they didn't ask us. Weren't asked. So some people have asked me why we're not playing, and weren't asked. So you will not see me opening for the Dropkick Murphys, trying to be in a punk rock band 30 years after I stopped being in a punk rock band, which would have been hilarious to see. The concept of 45-year-old me out of shape and screaming lyrics I wrote in English class at age 15 to a crowd of people is conceptually hilarious, which is not a word. Anyway, I'm babbling, but if you have questions about 2016, let me know. I'm going to record them that soon. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
I was like really invested in all these changes they were making to Baby Talk.